If anyone wants to say.
Hello, I'm Katrina Boardman.
Hi, I'm Pauline Cameron.
And I'm Shane McCann.
Excellent. From Fauna Rescue SA.
Yes, and we're from the bat team.
Bat team, the beautiful bat team. We're sporting some.
Oh,
We've got a bat
yes,
brooch. We've
got a
got
bit of
bat
bat-
earrings.
Yes.
I've got the colours of bats on. They have
Oh,
this
yeah.
lovely red ruff around their mane around their
Okay.
neck, and they've got black and they've got the grey.
They've got the red. I've got to have a closer look at the
Yeah,
photos.
they've got a beautiful
Oh, yeah,
red
we've got some
mane
great
around
photos.
their neck.
They're
yeah.
so pretty too, aren't they?
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
And that's only one of the flying foxes.
All right, so we'll jump on.
They're all beautiful in their
They
own little
are.
way, aren't
The individual little
they?
personalities.
Even the little tube nose bats,
Yeah,
that they're
I
cute.
saw a photo of that one the other day.
Which one was that?
The tube nose.
Tube nose.
Yes, they've got two little nostrils that are like
Yeah.
tubes.
And they look like Shrek.
They look like Shrek.
They don't all have that.
No,
No.
that's the microbats, the little ones, not the big ones.
They're the ones that are at the Botanic Gardens.
No.
Well, we're going to go through all that because, yeah, let's do it.
Yep.
You can teach us all.
You should come down to the colony one day.
Yeah, so it's at 6 o'clock that they all take off, isn't it, at night?
A bit earlier than that now,
Yeah,
isn't
I
it?
think about 5:15,
That's 5.
something like that.
Yeah. And are you there most nights?
No,
No, once a month we go down to do a talk, or to do a count,
to
really.
do a count, yeah, and Linda's there.
Thank you for tuning in this afternoon. We've got Katrina, Pauline and Shane from Fauna Rescue SA to talk about the importance of flying foxes and microbats in Adelaide, and also to just alleviate the fear in the community, dispel a few myths, discuss the dangers of facing flying foxes and a lot more. Welcome all.
Thank you.
Good to meet you all.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
So let's start off. Let's just go through. I'll just intro you all. Katrina is a fauna rescue bat coordinator, rescuer, carer, and carer of young. Been working with flying foxes for 31 years.
Yes, that's me.
That's you. Beautiful.
Yes, love them. Absolutely love them. They're a little addiction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, that's what Linda said. She said once you sort of hold them or get to know their personalities, and they're so intelligent and sensitive, she said you're hooked for life. You're in love
Love at
with
first
them
sight.
forever.
Yes, yeah. They just have this personality. I mean, they all have different personalities, but they really are endearing.
Endearing.
Very
Yeah,
endearing.
Yeah.
Very, very endearing, yeah.
So each of them have you see specific personalities.
Yeah.
And they had all their faces. People might think that all their faces look the same, but they're all different. They all just have that. There's something different about them. They might be black, they might be silver, or they might be just the grey. And that's why they're called grey-head flying foxes.
There's the blondes as
there's
well.
and real blondies,
Blondies.
yeah.
Really?
So we get
Yeah.
a real mishmash of
Yeah.
different colouring.
We've got them all here in Adelaide.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're the
they-
grey-head flying fox, but they will have all different. There'll be different colours on them. Yeah.
I guess it's like children, isn't it?
Mm,
You know,
Yes.
that's
children
right.
are children, but they're all different.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like dogs too, you know, I'm a
Yeah.
fan of Labradors. We've always had Labradors. They all look the same, really. If you line them
Yeah.
all up, they're all pretty much the same, but
Yeah.
all so different. All the dogs we've had are
Personalities.
vastly different.
Yeah, even the flying fox personalities are different. You know, with
Yeah.
all the little ones that we get in to hand raise, you know, I might have 9 in, and they're all very different. You know, there might be a hard one to look after, and there might be an easy one to look after. So they
Just like us, eh?
they are.
That's it. And even we were having this conversation yesterday. I was at a barbecue and we were saying siblings in a family, same parents, same house,
Yeah.
same environment, same house rules.
Mm.
The 3, 4 kids,
Yeah.
all different. Like not
Yeah.
just a little bit different, but very different.
But the flying foxes will actually pick up on your mood as well. You know, if you're having a uptight day, or you're feeling a bit down or whatever, they will feel that and they will react to that as well.
So what's an example of that?
like this, it smells as well. They react to smells. So if you've got another shirt on that's got the smell of the baby bat before you, they will get upset about that. So
Really?
yeah, because they have their mum, and they have their mother's smell. And so what we do when we do hand raise them, we have a different shirt for each animal, and that is hung with them when they are on their little hangers, and so we put that on when we go to feed them each time. So
That's interesting.
yeah.
Because they get jealous.
Mm.
Interesting.
They have
And-
emotions.
Yep.
Yeah.
At that young age, they don't usually socialise when they're very, very young. They will just stay on the branch when mum goes out to feed at
Yeah.
night, and that branch is where they'll be when mum comes back. So when they're about 12 weeks old, that's when they start the socialisation, and there's a lot of chatter when that happens.
So when they come out to feed, they leave the little ones stay on their own at the Botanic Gardens?
Yeah, at about 4 to 5 weeks, mum leaves them at the colony back in down in the Botanic Park, and she'll go out. She won't go far. She'll go out for a feed. She'll come back, and then as they get a little bit older, she'll go further out and come back. Yeah.
So all over Adelaide?
They are all over Adelaide, and at the moment they're travelling, a fair way. Adelaide's actually really good for them over the winter. We've got a lot of blossom out there at the moment. A lot of people will probably see a lot of blossom driving around Adelaide, and it's been really good for them, for the flying foxes in winter here. Where if you see over on the east coast, they disperse from certain colonies because they'll have their babies in that colony, or that roosting area, and then they'll move for winter. They follow the food. They'll follow the gum flower and the nectar.
So what about water? Do they need a lot of water?
What they do, they get a lot. They're a fluid eating animal, if you know what I mean. They'll drink the juice and the nectar from the trees. In hot times, when we really get hot here in Adelaide, they'll do what we call dipping in the torrens because they're not far. Usually roosts will always be close to some sort of water source, and they usually dip, and then they'll dip their tummies into the water and then fly up into the tree not far and drink that water from their fur.
Right.
Yeah. So or they drink dew off the leaves and things like that. So
Yeah, because I was thinking as well, their takeoff is, they sort of fall and then fly. So if they went sort of face down for a drink, they can't fly up.
Yeah, there was one year, 2019. We had a lot of we had a heat stress event in November.
That's right.
And all the babies were only about 4 weeks old, 5 weeks old, so they were still attached to mum. And mums would take off, go and dip in the torrens, and a lot of babies were falling off mums at that stage. The council were fantastic. They were in their little boats out there picking up all these little babies. So we got a fair few little babies through that as well. That was a hard time, wasn't it? Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That made the news, didn't it? A lot
So
of
the
them dying.
2019 heat stress event, then we had a month later, we had another heat stress event, and it was a completely different set of rules that were going on, because what we found is in the November we lost a lot of mothers because they still had babies on them, and mums just couldn't cope with that. So we were losing the mothers and the babies were surviving, where a month later the mothers were surviving and the babies weren't coping with the heat because they were being left behind, and they just couldn't cope with that heat that was being thrown at us.
Yeah. All right. So I'll just introduce Pauline and Shane before we move on to get right into it. So Pauline, member also of Fauna Rescue, rescuer, care of young, and one of the BAT team educators, and Shane, member of the Fauna Rescue team, also rescuer, care of young, and another BAT team educator. Just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah,
It's
to
a
the
very
price
new-
of one.
Yeah, and it's just a very new thing we've got going, the education
Yeah.
theme. So that's what we want to do, is get out there into the public and help people, because it's a fairly young colony. They've only been here since 2010, so people in Adelaide still aren't used to them being there, or they don't know much about them. So that's our plan.
So if people see them, like what's the first sort of things we need to know about them? First, of course, don't be afraid of them. We're not going to get any diseases from them.
That's right. Yeah.
Just leave them
But
alone.
leave them alone.
Don't
touch
touch
Katrina
them.
and I are both on the hotline, so if they find a bat alone during the day or down, they ring us. We can give them advice. We ask them questions. We need their details. We need to identify whether it's a microbat or a flying fox, and then rescuers go out, and then it goes from there, doesn't it? Whether they need a vet or
Yeah.
a carer.
So the flying foxes, they're a megabat. So that mega means big. So with your microbat, you've got your little microbats. And the only same thing that these two animals have are wings, you know, the wing membrane. So they're very different in lots of ways. One eats
insects.
Yeah.
and then one eats
The nectar.
nectar or native fruits. So and they pulp their food, so they're just getting the juice. They don't eat anything apart from juice. So you will never get anything from their poos, because it's just a natural juice that comes out.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that they'll catch disease from their poo and wee, but that is not the case. You'll only, if the animal there's something wrong, only if they get bitten or scratched.
And what's the likelihood of that?
Oh, well,
Well, less than 1%
Yeah.
actually can carry this virus, and it has to be a direct bite or a scratch, so only from saliva, so not from anything else. And it's a very low percentage that even carry it anyway.
Yeah.
So we're all vaccinated, we're all rabies vaccinated, so if people don't touch them, there's no chance ever of catching anything from them.
And they don't come near humans, do they?
no.
No, they don't. People think that, some of the myths are like they swoop and fly and get tangled on your hair and all these kind of things. They want to stay as far away from us as possible.
That's right.
Mm.
Okay. And also, let's talk about actually the netting, because a lot of people have nets around their fruit trees and things like that. Will you show me some photos there?
Okay. That's flying fox that has been caught in netting. Unfortunately, didn't make it. And we understand that people, love their fruit trees, and they plant their fruit trees because they want to feed their family fruit.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate that because of urbanisation, us chopping trees down, that the animals, the wildlife, they don't go to a supermarket like we do, so they have to find food. And of course, it's easy to go into a backyard and eat some of their fruit. So you've got the wildlife that we worry more about, of course, is the possums, the birds, the lizards, the snakes even will climb up a tree to take fruit. And then there's the flying foxes. The first ones that I said, they are the main ones that will, because you see the corellas and the cockatoos and the lorikeets, the honey eaters, they're all getting into the trees. But the flying foxes will only go to a backyard fruit tree if it is starving. It's not going to, choose to go down into someone's backyard because of safety reasons. They don't choose to do that. It's the necessity to do that. So if we stop doing what we're doing in the environment and ensuring that there's enough trees flowering, gum trees flowering for them, then everything would be okay. But unfortunately, this is what we have to contend with. And as rescuers, we all have faced netting rescues, and it's very confronting. It's confronting for us, it's confronting for the owner of the fruit trees, and we have to cut a large hole out of the netting. That means that to get the bat out, and then of course that net is null and void now. It's got a hole in it, so it's not worth anything, is it?
Yeah.
The owner has to go and buy new netting, Most of them don't survive because what they do is when they get caught in the netting, they entangle more because they panic and they're trying to get out. So they get asphyxiated, limbs. Yeah, it's not a pretty sight. No.
And
So you can put your finger through
Yes.
the netting.
Okay. So
If
there's
you can put your finger through the netting, then it's not a good netting. It's not a wildlife friendly netting. And there's plenty of places that you can buy the proper netting. And you know, there's like the hail guard, and other smaller, finer netting that you can put over your trees.
have you got a picture of the larger netting?
Yep, there's a picture of the larger netting.
And then, so what we with our education program is that what we want to do is teach people how to use alternatives. Our idea is the fruit bag. So the idea of the fruit bag obviously is that it's easy to install. You don't have to throw it over a whole tree. You just bunch up your fruit, and Katrina's doing a great
That's
job there. Of,
interesting.
yeah, because
And
fruit
there's your
is
fruit.
usually in clumps. Yeah. And then when you need to prune, you can prune because you don't have to take the net off to prune. You just got these bags. When you want to harvest, you just take the fruit that's ripe and you remove the bag from the ripe, because you know how fruit trees, you harvest them at different times. Not everything ripens at the same time.
Yeah.
So you can see what's ripe through this, harvest it, and done. This won't harm any of the animals. And then, if you want to be generous, leave the top of your fruit available for the wildlife.
Backup plan,
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
because
And why not? We can't reach the top anyway. We've heard of
That's
people
true.
falling
Exactly.
off ladders, scratching their head. Actually, being a holiday, my husband's home today, and he looked forward. He was doing something. I said, "What'd you do to your head?" He was trying to get lemons from the top, and he scratched the top of his head. And so now I say, leave the top ones.
Yeah, except that the birds don't like lemons.
Oh yeah, lemon. No,
Yeah, I know.
That's right.
Yeah, and we've got a brochure that we hand out to people as well. And we also are there for advice. They can ring our hotline number,
Yes.
and they can talk to us, and we can help them with that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So what about the sticky fly traps?
Yes, we've got a number, about 7 microbats that live in South Australia, or there's quite a few that are in the suburbs, believe it or not, and a lot of houses, believe it or not, will have them roosting right up in their roof space. They don't hurt you, or they're just that's where they live. And again, because of destruction of their habitat, this is where these bats have gone to roost. So there are a number of things that we get calls about, and one of them is these sticky fly traps, which are atrocious. They really are, and they're for inside. They're not for outside, and what people are doing is they're hanging them outside, and we tend to get people hanging them just outside their front door where their outdoor light is, which encourages the bugs to come around really, and that's where the microbats are coming in and trying to get the moths and the mosquitoes that are coming in around there. So, and these poor little bats are getting stuck on them, and surprisingly enough, we're getting a lot of calls now of these poor little things getting caught. Most of them don't survive because there's sticky stuff. It's got pesticide in them, and they will die after a period of time. I've got a couple in care at the moment that are doing okay, but you know, it's just horrible stuff. Those sticky traps.
And that's the beauty of the microbats, is that they come out at night when we don't see them, we're asleep, and they take care of the bugs. So we want the microbats around to do that, to do their job and clean up the bugs.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they'll eat over the night. They'll eat a lot of insects. 24 to 40% of their body weight they'll eat. So that's a lot of insects. and they're good. You know, they eat all our mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Um,
We don't want
you know,
them
even orchards and vineyards are putting boxes up and encouraging the bats to come around, so they don't have to put pesticides onto their trees and things like that. You know, these microbats. There's been some studies done on it as well, and they seem to keep all of that down and away from it. So be happy that you've got them around.
Exactly. And so what other problems are you facing as rescuers? I understand there's a few different things.
Well, certainly with the
Cat
flying
attacks.
Yeah, cat attacks. Certainly with the flying foxes, we have a big problem, and 60% of our calls just recently this year have been for electrocutions of the flying foxes, and they're not just killed. Most of them aren't killed instantly. So they are electrocuted and blown onto the ground, and we get a lot of calls of animals that are missing parts and still alive in the gutters, and it's horrendous. And a lot of our carers have to. I mean, it's mind blowing what we have to go out to pick up. But you know, at least members of the public are fantastic, and they ring them in. But if you do see a flying fox up on wires, up on the power wires, ring our bat team emergency line, and we'll get someone out there ASAP. SA Power has been awesome. They're very, very supportive of us, and we ring them up, and they're just been lovely to deal with.
Excellent.
And they'll get someone out there pretty quickly to get the animal down, and it's, you know, for good reason, not just for the animal, but for, you know, outages and things like that. So it's an emergency for them.
Yeah.
So they are very supportive. They're awesome. Certainly with the flying foxes, we have other problems. You know, getting hit by cars and attacked by animal, you know, domestic. But our little microbats are doing it tough at the moment because they're all in torpor at the moment. So they're sleeping, and they're sleeping in areas that, you know, they don't know the difference between a hollow log and a coat hanging up outside in a shed. So people are coming across them, and we just people have been ringing us, and we either send someone out there and just relocate them. Not far. We've got to leave the microbats in the same area where they live. We can't go and take them, you know, 50 k's away. We're not allowed to do that by law. So these little bats are either put into little bat boxes that we have made up for us, and we'll put them in a tree. At the moment, I've got some microbats in that have come from a house that's being demolished, and I can't put those little microbats back there until the house has actually been pulled down, because they might not. The area where they were found might be demolished, but they might have other roost areas in that roof space that they'll go back to. So I've got to now wait for that whole house to be pulled down. So, you know, it's a bit difficult. Just the other day, I got 2 little microbats that were found under some outdoor furniture pillows.
Really?
So yeah, so just keep an eye out for them, and they're just out of the way, getting out of the elements, and just sitting tight somewhere. But we can help you. You just give us a call and we can talk it through with you.
Yeah. What are they like in these cold nights? I've often wondered when it's really cold at night. They're okay. They've got their fur in that?
Yeah, they've got their fur, and usually there's they huddle together.
Do they?
Yeah. So the ones that I got from this building that's been demolished is 3 different there's 3 different species in that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got the ghoul wattle bat, which is quite a big bat. Then we've got 2 little chocolate wattle bats, and also a lesser long-eared. So they all live together, and keep themselves warm.
Is it unusual for them to?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've come across other, you know, a couple of species together, but having 3 together it's great. You know, we're learning so much about little microbats. Absolutely. There are a few experts in Adelaide, and I always go to them saying, you know, what do I do? But yeah, they're very excited when I tell them things like this. But yeah, they're a great little animal. But yes, they are all sleeping at the moment, and on cold nights they all huddle together, and they'll stay like that until there's a warmish night, and they might go out and get a meal or something, and then they come back to their little holes or little houses. Yeah.
Okay. So, just a few more things. Actually, anything else you want to go through on your list there?
Well, so we just spoke about the microbats, what they're doing at the moment. So they're in torpor. With the flying foxes at the moment, most of the females are pregnant at the moment,
that's right.
and they'll give birth probably around October, November. This year the birthing time is a little bit later than it was last year. Last year it was early because the year before, in 2019, in November, we lost most of our babies. So obviously the birthing was sort of September, October, wasn't it? So this year it'll be October, November. So we ask the public to keep a good close eye out for any animals if they see any flying foxes that aren't in the colony. So if you see a flying fox during the day, you need to give us a call and we can get someone out there to have a look, because they possibly, all the females will have babies on board, certainly in November and sometimes in December. So and also electrocutions, we get a few electrocutions as well. And the babies will survive their electrocution. They're actually insulated by the nipple of the mother. The nipple is underneath their armpit, and they won't get electrocuted, but the mothers will. So I've had a few babies that have come in like that. And another really bad thing that we have happen is barbed wire. What seems to happen with industry, they put up a fence around their compound, and there's barbed wire, 3 strands or 4 strands of barbed wire, and the councils plant lovely gum trees around the outside. But what happens is the gum trees start to flower, and they flower within the barbed wire within that. So we get a few like that, and we do what we can. But certainly October, November, and December is when we really want people to keep an eye out and see where they are.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind bringing something up that I didn't get to mention, which is something that concerns people with fruit trees in their backyard, and that's fruit fly. And with this bag that Katrina so well demonstrated in front of the camera, you can imagine if you use that on your fruit, you're not going to get any fruit fly. So this is what the government and the local councils, they should get on board with this, because look at what they're doing. They're going around and spraying chemicals around in people's backyards, and then they've lost their fruit anyway because they've sprayed now. And what is it doing to their pets and etc.? So fruit bags stops the fruit fly. And also the other thing is that in Victoria, that legislation's coming out in September this year that's banning the fruit netting under over 5 millimetres, isn't it? The diameter.
One that you can stick your finger through.
Yeah, and that's, So if you can stick your finger through, it's going to be banned in Victoria, which means all the other states are going to follow through. So I think if you're going to be changed, if your netting needs to be changed, don't replace it with new netting.
Yes.
Think about, and we will help with this. We're going to get a team of ladies sewing on sewing machines, making bags.
Yeah.
Yes.
But putting that netting on right is also a very important thing, not just throwing it over your tree. You need to make sure it's taut and pulled together at the base, so no animals can actually get up underneath, and that's where we get a lot of problems. The animals, if people just throw it over the top,
they find a way of
they
getting
find a way of getting up underneath to get the fruit, and that's when they can't get out and they get all tangled up. And it's not just the bats; it's the fruit bats. It's birds, certainly birds.
Well, the
and
snakes
possums.
are a problem. They're finding snakes now in the Riverland. There's a problem, and they're getting there. So if a snake is caught in that net, and you've got your pets out there or your children playing, and they don't know there's a snake caught, you know what animals do when they're stressed or when they're injured, they're unpredictable. So for safety for your family and your pets,
So you said people can, you're
Oh,
sewing
we're-
them, but
yeah,
where can we
we're-
get them from? Like,
Oh,
I don't know.
they just have to, Shane's got the email address that people, when she has a little chat, she can give you the email address that she can contact us, but the ladies are making them now, and we can help out with that,
Yeah.
yes.
But you can also, I've
Yeah,
actually
you can
seen-
buy them,
You
yeah.
can actually buy
Buy-
them from
buy them
fruit,
online.
from fruit
Fruit
shops
shops.
as well.
Oh, can
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
tend to buy them instead of using plastic bags. You
Yeah.
know, those plastic bags. They're about the size of, you know, those plastic bags that you get to put your
Yeah.
fruit and
Yes.
veg in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've noticed
Yeah.
from fruiters, you know, big fruiters, that they have fruit and veg places that
And
they have.
online.
They have
Yeah, and online.
Online, I've
yeah.
had them for about 30 years, I think, because I just don't use plastic. So
Yeah, better.
Yeah.
yeah, so you can buy them online, and they can same ones as you use for getting your fruit.
Okay,
Mm.
excellent. So can you just walk us through the education program you've got for people who want to come along?
Yes, I can. Okay, so as I said, we've started this recently because our colony, well, when I first started, it was 3,000. It's up to about 28,000 now. And people sort of think, oh, they're in plague proportions, which can't happen. They only have one baby a year. They're the slowest reproducing mammal for their size, and the fatality rate is very high. There's only 30% who make it to their first birthday. So of all the babies born, 70% won't get to 1 year old. So they can't actually ever be in plague proportions. So that's one of the things we like to tell people. They fly about 50 kilometres a night in search of food, and they don't belong anywhere except the colony during the day. So people often say, oh, I've seen them in my fruit trees. I've got a colony living in my fruit trees. And no, they don't. They live at the colony. So anyone in the day, call them in because they need our help. Also to dispel myths, talking about lyssavirus and talking about how rare it is, and things like I mentioned before, they don't fly down to attack people and things like that. They don't have to be worried about them if they don't ever touch them. We talk about the dangers facing them, which is, like we've mentioned, the climate change, heat stress is the worst thing, and then electrocutions, barbed wire and fruit netting, that kind of thing. And another thing I think we like to talk about is there are keystone species, which means that other species rely on them for their survival. So they propagate around 70% of the hardwood eucalypts we have in Australia, and pretty much all of them along the east coast. The night flowering gums, obviously, they flower when the birds and bees are asleep, so it's the flying foxes who actually do all the pollination. So they go to one, get covered in pollen from one, fly to another, pollinate that one, disperse seeds as they're flying along, dropping their droppings. And very important, and I think everyone's probably heard of the koalas, no tree, no me. Well, we say for flying foxes, no me, no tree, because other species rely on them.
I think with the education program that these ladies are putting together, they want to get out there and they want to do it to all community groups, from schools through to
Just little,
we don't mind if people want a
Yeah.
coffee and a chat, or we don't
Like
mind
what we're doing
if
this
it's
thing.
if
I mean,
it's a small group.
if you've got a group that are interested in this, please get in touch with us. The more education we can get out there on these animals, the more people are less likely to be scared of them, and not, you know, make other people scared. I mean, you know, from a lot of media and a few people thinking that these guys have got they're just disease-ridden animals. This is why we want to have this education, so we can tell people that they aren't all bad. You know, it's not all bad at all. So, you know, if you're interested, if you've got a group, ladies group or anything like that, let us know. these lovely ladies are so happy to go out and just chat about them.
Oh,
Yeah, we won't stop.
We love them so much. We look after so many babies and rescue them, and we see the horrors that they face. We love them so much. We want people to understand,
Yeah.
you know, why we do, and also just important things like if you see one injured, don't sort of say, oh, yeah, I thought it'd fly away. You know, contact us straight away.
Of course.
Yeah.
And
so
don't
that's
touch
very
it.
important.
Obviously, the
Yeah.
logical things, don't go near it, don't touch it.
That's
you know,
right.
ask,
You've got a
call the
hotline.
experts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Call you
Yeah.
straight away. You'll deal with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you find a live one on the ground, you know, give us a call, but we will tell you how to manage that without touching them.
Yes, exactly.
And containing it until someone can get there.
So can we go through that now? Because that's pretty important, isn't it?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
just to contain
Okay,
it. What do we
let's have a conversation about, okay, someone's found an electrocuted juvenile that's been blown off the lines, that's been feeding in a gum tree with flour above, and there's been lines through that. It's been blown off, hit the ground, and it's in the gutter. So what does someone do? First, the best thing to do is to give us a call.
do? Yes.
And don't touch it. Don't go anywhere near it. Don't touch it. Another thing is go inside and get a towel and a box and maybe put that over the top of it so it can't get into the middle of the road and be run over, or it can't go anywhere. It can be contained.
Right.
We usually get someone out there pretty quickly. If
Yeah.
we know that it's an electrocution, we'll get someone out there pretty quickly. We've got an incredible amount of fantastic vaccinated carers and rescuers, and we'll get out there very quickly, very, very quickly. So we've had
Okay.
some lovely people ring them in and been very distraught about it, but you know, we can deal with it as quickly as possible.
Yes. I've just had a thought while we're all talking there, just to get the word out there more about the bats and the flying foxes, is perhaps even going to councils and then perhaps putting it in newsletters or drop-offs or something, you know,
Well,
because
actually, we're in
that's
the
the best
process
way.
of doing that now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in
So,
schools, and
Yeah.
I know I mean, you probably need
Yeah.
more people to help, do you? Do you need more
Well,
people on board?
Well,
Well,
we're going to go to councils because a lot of the times people don't know to phone in to Fauna Rescue or the bat line. So they'll phone the council and they say, I've got a flying fox in my tree. So we want to go and educate councils on how to deal with this and how to approach the members of the public, and sort of we educate them and they educate their ratepayers
That's
on what
right.
to do.
Even,
when they-
just sending
Yeah.
people something out sort of once a year, or
Yes,
just something,
Yes.
a couple of paragraphs just to give us that awareness and dispel that fear, and give us
Yes.
hotline numbers.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And a few other things, if people are very interested in helping these, certainly the flying foxes, we do have, if they did want to help the team, become part of the team, we do like people to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
But there are jobs for unvaccinated people. We do a count once a month. So we actually go down to Botanic Park and we count them as they're flying out.
That's
And
right.
as Shane was saying, we've got round about 28,000, and that can be fluid, that can go up and it can go down. But there's that. We've also, heat stress events, yes, you have to be vaccinated and you have to do a course, but there are things on the heat stress event days that people can help us with, and that might just be bringing us ice, or talking to the public, or things that will just make our life as rescuers so much
Of
easier.
course.
Yeah. So there are things that public can do other than just the
And in
small
heat
things.
stress events, we all get so stressed and traumatised by what we see that, if we don't have somebody there to remind us to take breaks and things like that. So we actually have people out there saying, you've been out there for an hour or 2 hours, it's time to take a break. So, that's another unvaccinated job for
And
heat
spotters
stress.
too.
Spotters. Yeah.
People that just walk around and they can see an animal that's low in trees because they're usually up high. low in trees, and they're just spotting for us and coming back to, we have a base, and they come back to us and tell us that there's there's a couple that are down very low, and then we either go and rescue them, or we go and spray them with water and just keep them wet. But there is an exciting thing going to be happening soon with our colony here at Botanic Park, is we're going to get sprinklers. And we're going to get big sprinklers that are going up over the whole colony. And that is going to save so many lives.
Well, I was going to mention that, and I thought, is that a silly comment to make? I was thinking in my head, because how are you going to get the water there? Is that possible? So I wasn't going to ask it, but I'm so glad you said that.
All the water's there, all the pipes are there, everything. We're just waiting on a few things to get that up. So we're fingers crossed that we've got that up for the next season, because that'll save a lot of lives. And it's a lot of colonies around Australia have already got these big sprinkler systems up, and they are saving a lot of animals, which is fantastic.
Excellent.
I mean, I've got goosebumps
I
thinking about it,
do
because
too.
What we've seen as carers with the heat stress events is not nice, and to be able to have them just have water going over the whole lot of them would just be fantastic.
Yeah, because you said they can feed off their body. They get the water off their body.
It drops
That's how they...
the temperature too, the ambient temperature, doesn't it?
Yeah. Over the last 3 or 4 years, Botanic Gardens have been absolutely fantastic. They put the sprinklers on underneath them, which is great, because that helps in the temperature and also creates puddles. And we've actually seen them dipping in just those puddles within the colony. And then they will go out into the torrents, but just using that and flying through the sprinklers.
So they weren't doing that when they all died from the heat a few years back?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't enough, because that was a pretty bad heat wave, wasn't it?
That was bad. That was really bad.
It was.
That's because the nighttime temperature didn't drop enough.
That's
right.
So they didn't recover overnight. So
exactly right.
the heat was 24 hours. And
But,
also December was 3 days straight.
That's right. Yeah. If we can get a reprieve, then that helps a lot. But it really depends on what time of the year.
Well, it's good to hear that people are on board, and you've got that support, like you said, with the power lines, with the Botanic Gardens, the different groups helping and supporting, being very helpful.
Oh, we've got some.
You need that support, or else you can't do your work.
Yeah. And now we just need the support of the public, and accepting them. They're here. They weren't here, but they're here now. We have to live with them, and Adelaide is giving them the reprieve, the food that they need, because over on the east coast it's all going through drought, bushfires, destruction of their forests. It's just not okay. So they're coming over here because they know that there's food here. But they'll come. When I first started with the flying foxes, they weren't even in Victoria. I've been with them for so long, so they've worked the way all the way down. And they're coming across to South Australia, and we've got the food here for them, certainly in winter, and it's fantastic. The animals we get in winter, they're a good weight, they're a good body weight, and they're in good condition. So I think we're pretty lucky.
We are
very lucky.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
We love
them. Well, so we can see photos and video on your Facebook page to keep updated.
Yes, we've got a Facebook page. It's called Bats of Adelaide City, and certainly get on there and
like
the page, and we give education on that page, and we let you know what's happening with the bats at each time parts of the year, and also little stories on what we've experienced having babies, I do the creches. So the creche is the next step after someone's hand raised the babies, they go into a creche situation. So that's when they all come together to socialise and that sort of thing. So there's steps. But on this Facebook page, we give you a lot of information and what we as carers experience as well.
Also, we do a profile on a baby that's been in care and released. They're out there flying free. So we a couple of profiles a week.
Yes.
and that just makes it that you can just see and read what that baby had been through. Oh, here we go. Here we've got 2 cuties.
Yeah, this is a photograph of them with dummies. They actually have
Are you
dummies.
serious?
Yeah. But that dummy is really important because those babies are attached to mum's teat, so we replicate what they that they need. We wrap them up in
Look
a
at their
wrap.
faces.
And,
They're so beautiful.
Yeah.
oh, they're
That's
just
my
They look
Yeah.
like little
Even Esme.
puppies.
Yeah.
They're little,
So when they
call them pups, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The little
over
dog
this
puppies,
dyslexic,
that
do,
look
don't they? Yeah.
No,
That's an
I
American
call
term,
them
isn't it?
young. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so when they go into this crash situation, after they go through a period there, they go into our release aviary, but they're actually banded. We've got a bander, a bird and bat bander, who's my husband, and he does all the banding. And so for the last 2 years, we've had animals that have actually come back into our care with bands on. So we've got that history of what that animal has been and done and has lived. You know, we've looked after this animal, we've hand raised it, we've got it to a point where it can be released in the wild, and some of them have been passed away, but we've got the results and they've come in and they're beautiful and big and fat and in great condition.
Makes you
And
feel so
that's
good
what we need. We
hear
need
that.
to know.
Yeah.
We need to know that what we do as carers works, and they're released back out there into the wild, and they're still alive. You know, they're living
there.
lives.
Gee, you're doing fantastic work. Bless you all.
You can tell we're excited.
Oh, yeah.
Are we
Can't
able to
contain
just
us.
let you know our phone numbers and
Please, yes.
our email? So, Fauna Rescue, the bat hotline, the number for that.
Just one moment. Can you just
Yes.
bring the mic over? Just so we can hear it? Yeah, that's perfect.
Yes, the Fauna Rescue bat hotline is 8486 1139, and that's 24 hours, that one. If you'd like to book a talk from the education team, our email for that is talkingbatty@gmail.com. And any size, group at all, we're happy.
As long as we get coffee.
Definitely get that. That's the least people can do. Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. And anything else before we say goodbye?
I think we've touched on it just
Yeah,
about.
I think
Yeah.
so. I'd just like to end off with that understanding the bats is respecting them. So you can't respect something until you understand it, and what we want to do is get you to understand them, and then you will respect them as much as we do.
Well said. Katrina, Pauline and Shane, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Absolute
Shane.
pleasure.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much for having us.
Thank you. Excellent. Very good. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
See, once I get going,
That
don't
was
shut me up.
awesome. Yeah. Woohoo, we covered it all. All right, so if you want to say
that was
goodbye up
really
there.
good. Oh, see you later. Bye.
Bye. It's good. Once you start, it's
Thank you for
Because
watching.
we're talking about something that we love so much.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I showed you a couple of other little cuties in there.
And that's still on, so you can hold them up after I see them as well.
Oh, okay.
We're so excited.
These are our
So we got an
babies.
hour.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll just do one quick thing. Just put my news on.
Oh, sorry. Sticking to Uncle, I have to fix that up.
All right. Oh my gosh, yes, gorgeous.
Those two there, Heath and Esme, I rescued those. They were from a heat stress event, and I'd already had
Oh yeah,
bats
can
in
you?
there.
Yeah. So I'll give them to you once I've seen them, and then you can hold them up.
So,
That's
oh,
awesome.
we've already seen these
We've
ones.
seen that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one's
Well, they should be.
very
They should be
cool.
that way
Oh,
actually.
You can see how different they
Eyes.
are.
Oh look.
The eyes, once you look at the eyes, you're in love. Definitely.
But you can see the
Is that its claw? Look at that.
It's a thumb. They have a thumb. Yeah. Oh, and their feet. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Little bugger that one.
Burn.
So where do they sit on you? They sit on your shoulder. How do you?
No, we wrap them.
You
We
wrap
use
them.
wraps which replicate their mum's wings. So we wrap them up, and when you exercise them, you actually just hang them obvious. So you put their feet there, and then they hang down, and then they open their wings and
You've got to clean them.
exercise. So yeah, you have to clean them. You have to toilet
love
them,
them.
and
Oh,
yeah.
I just love them so much.
So we use clothes areas to hang them on.
They would get attached to you.
Oh
They-
yes,
They do.
So it's hard to let them
But-
go.
but at a
But you know
certain-
it's good for them too.
It's the
But at a
hardest
certain
thing you're gonna
age,
do.
when they go into creche,
Oh,
they
like
forget you very
teenagers.
quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
a lot
they
quicker than
do.
we forget them.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
It's
Yeah.
like the teenagers, you know, they don't want mum anymore.
Cute.
Oh, yeah, little Tina.
Yeah, so that's one wrapped.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Stunning, aren't they?
Yeah, and you can see how they're all different, even their shape faces, you know,
Yeah.
that some of them
have got the
Yeah, and
pointy
the colouring
face.
is
Yes.
quite different, isn't it?
It's very different.
Red and grey, this one. Does that mean it's old because it's grey? No.
No,
No, it's just
that's-
grey.
That was an outside photo in a crate, so I think it had a bit of sun there. But you know, you get some of them that are real. We call them real blondies, and
Oh, the blonde
Yeah.
ones
Is
are
the
just
blonde-
gorgeous.
Okay.
the blonde. There's one of Aaron. Is
Yeah.
Aaron coming?
I think he's
back
been.
here?
Oh,
Aaron hanging on the era. He's
That
a
one looks
lady.
really fluffy.
Yes, that's Justin.
Justin.
Oh,
Yeah, some of them are fluffy, aren't they?
Yeah, a bit
Yes,
fluffier.
that's Aaron.
they're all different. They're grey hair flying foxes, but they're all different.
And this one, grey
Yeah.
and black. This one's cute too. What's that eating? Oh, is that the dummy?
That's the dummy. That's the
Yeah.
one with the dummy in its mouth.
Is that a shorter dummy than the other dummy?
Yeah,
Oh, they're
that
just different.
Oh,
we,
yes.
we
Some
make
just-
them. We use
Yeah.
different things to make dummies with.
What's this one got in its mouth?
A grey.
A grape. That's a bit of a treat.
They look right into the
Oh,
lens, don't they?
Their eyes
They look
are
right,
just-
yeah.
They're engaging.
They are.
They are.
That's why they like babies, because that's what babies do to you too. You know, when you look at a baby, they just look straight into your eyes, and they're exactly the same. I've only done it 2 years, and I can tell you that I will never do anything else.
Yeah.
Oh, Gracie.
Not like these guys, they've been doing it a lot longer.
See how different they are.
And their wings are so interesting when you look at them. Look at that.
That's the wing membrane.
Are they strong? Like they don't get ripped easy, do they?
They do
Not
get
they're a
ripped.
bit thin.
They
Yeah,
do
but
get
they're
ripped
actually
at
tougher than
repair.
you think.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
When you first start looking after them, you're
Oh, you're
very
scared,
you're
aren't
very
you?
scared about manoeuvring the wing membrane.
Yeah.
But when you've done it as long as I do, you
Yeah.
you know, because their mothers are like that
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
They they sort
Strong
of push
with
and
it,
pull
yeah.
and
This one's
And
having
you've got to
a-
clean them too,
Is
so
this
you get-
Juliet?
Oh, Juliet, yeah.
Sucking on
Oh,
her.
she was sucking her blankie.
Really? Oh, they put it there for comfort, like
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she obviously had maybe dropped her dummy on the floor, and yeah, she was gorgeous.
yes,
I
that's
had a Romeo.
they come
as
to
well.
me for hard love.
Yes.
They're not allowed their blankies or their dummies or anything like that when they come
Or
to
their
me.
grapes.
Really?
Or they're great.
Look at them
Oh.
all lined up there.
Oh, they
Pink
all
dummy
like-
there.
That's my first year that I did them.
Oh yeah.
That was the first I had all those.
They like each other's company, don't they?
Oh, we're not.
At,
Oh,
at
I
this
don't
age,
know.
probably not so
No.
much.
No, not the
They-
young, but
So
No,
that's them
they
all
didn't
wrapped
really
up.
bother
When they,
to care.
yeah, after 12 weeks old, they're very
Yeah.
sociable. But
Yeah.
the babies, because in the wild they've got a one-on-one relationship with
Yeah.
their mum. So when you take
Okay,
over
yeah.
being their mum, they're fixated on you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
We've got
so-
lots of pictures
so
of
this one
babies here,
Bianca,
girls.
he was fished out of the Torrens, and when I got him, he was still doing this.
Really?
His legs. So that's why I called him Spider, because it was
Arms
like
and
he
legs
had
everywhere.
Yeah, arms, legs everywhere. Yeah.
Why was
See
he
the-
still doing that? If he was out
I
of
don't
water?
know.
He had
I
anxiety.
think he was
Yeah,
traumatised. and
traumatised. Like
he
PTSD
hated-
sort of.
He hated
Something.
being next to the other babies, and it wasn't until he was the last one in care, and he changed. His personality completely changed within 2 hours.
It's a wing
of,
membrane.
Tina leaving my house.
All the
Really?
Shane taking Tina.
blood
and
vessels through the
I
wing
rang
membrane.
you and I said, I cannot believe how, because he was a problem. He was a problem child. And then 2 hours, he was completely calm, relaxed, put on weight. And I went, hang on a minute, we got the wrong one.
Now
Yeah.
this is an amazing picture.
It's an awesome
yeah.
photograph. Yeah.
Look how big that baby is she's carrying around.
I
If
can't
that
believe
was-
that is amazing.
You know, just relate that
Look
to
at
a
that.
human
Yeah.
holding their
Yeah.
child
Yeah.
by the size of her body.
So that's heavy for her.
Yeah, that's
She
probably.
does it.
There's the baby there.
It's about a quarter of her weight, isn't it?
Can I just take a photo of that?
Sure.
With this? Because, I mean,
So Bianca,
that's
I
just
guess
amazing.
what we'd like to propose to you is, if you're happy to have us come back,
Yes.
we can come back at different times of the year and let
course.
your listeners know what's happening. So like for birthing season
Yeah.
and what people need to look out for,
That's right.
and you know, things like that. So
Of
we
course.
can have a little segment on what to do at
Yeah,
that time
that
of
would be
year.
great.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
awesome.
So
I'd
If
love
you're
do
happy to
that.
have us
I-
back.
Oh, absolutely. Look at this. Got it. That's amazing, isn't it?
It's an incredible photograph, that.
All
I
right.
love it. It's all the veins in
So if you want to say goodbye here, ciao ciao.
See you. Thank you for listening.
Thank
Thank you very much.
All the angels here, the bat angels.